And Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Would you like to call for the ratification of the minutes?
Yes, and I'd like to make a motion that we ratify the minutes from our last meeting, February 14th.
Before we second, I want to make one quick change under president remarks. No, it's not. I don't know where. No, that's not it. It's right above the financial report. Paula did not review short-term rentals. Dave Ellis reviewed the short-term rentals. So
Okay.
just to keep him straight.
Okay.
So I will second with Paula's correction.
Well, correction. Thank you.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, there we go. We're off and running.
Thank you very much. All righty. Welcome again. And what I thought had been a relatively quiet first quarter actually turned into a pretty busy
I
one.
will second with Paula's correction.
Well, correction. Thank you. Is everybody hearing that echo or is it just me?
No, I.
Okay, there we go. We're off and running.
Thank you very much. All righty. Welcome again. And what I thought had been a relatively quiet first quarter actually turned into a pretty busy
I
one.
will second with Paula's correction.
Well, correction. Thank you. We'll start again. We'll try it again, and hopefully we won't be playing back our recording. In case you all hadn't noticed, there have been full-page ads by a company called Picasa. I've seen them in the Island Packet and the Wall Street Journal magazine, and they've been in other places as well. And it sparked some pretty keen interest here in Sea Pines. If you're not aware, Picasa describes itself as an open market sale of LLC membership interests that grant the members certain rights to use a home for certain weeks of the year. And Sea Pines is one of those areas that has Picasa facilitated sales, home sales in it. And it appears to be quite similar to fractional ownership. While this was going on, our legal counsel retired. And so we took this opportunity to identify and hire another legal counsel. Dave Ellis, our non-practicing South Carolina lawyer board member, and I met with counsel this past Friday, and we had a rollicking good conversation. We asked for an opinion on the question of this type of sale and ownership, and is it permissible in Sea Pines? But especially we asked to know what the difference is between fractional ownership and timeshares. I've also talked to Margie Tomczak, and I've asked her if I may attend any of the meetings of the neighborhood regimes so that we can hear up close and personal what some of the issues and the questions are that are bubbling up. So stay tuned as we follow these activities. I've gotten several emails requesting our opinion on this, and I would suggest that an opinion is woefully premature. We do not know what we don't know right now, but we will, and we're working on it now. I'm also pleased to share with you that our membership now stands at almost 3,100. That's a good number, but I think more importantly is that we have email addresses of almost 80% of our members. This is at least 50% more members than we were communicating with last year. So not only will more people be dialed in and more closely connected with your voice, but it also makes our surveys stronger and amplifies anything that happens through Sea Pines POA. The last thing is I'm going to couple this, email addresses, members, with a thank you once again to Lori Wellinghoff and Jonathan Surrey, who are going to be publishing monthly a newsletter. So watch for once that starts, you will see it on a monthly basis. Lastly, our annual meeting was moved to May 16th, and that was due to conflicts that were arriving on my calendar surrounding our deposition in the Jinx lawsuit. We have moved the date of record as a result of moving the annual meeting. We moved the date of record to March 29th. So now it's a really good time to be a member of Sea Pines POA, and you've got about a week left to join and be a member of record for the annual meeting. You can join anytime, but now is good, really good. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Kathleen Smith to bring us up to date from a management perspective. Thank you, Kathleen. You're on mute. Yeah,
Can
there
you
you
all
go.
hear me okay? I think there's a little lag somewhere. I apologize. Good morning, everybody. The management report is as follows. Since the last meeting on February 14th, Lisa and I have responded to 107 phone calls. We've responded to approximately 25 emails. Membership renewals by mail have dwindled down to about 10 per week versus about 200 to 300 per week since we sent the last bill in January. Lisa goes and meets Robin once per week to hand off all credit card payments that come in via mail and any member contact info updates that come in as well. As of March 18th, we have a total of 3,095 members. That will continue to grow as we receive the rest of the renewals in by mail. We've gotten a few just over the weekend. As Paula stated, the annual meeting is coming up, and Lisa and I will begin preparing a draft packet for the review by the executive committee. And we will mail the notice of the annual meeting to all members by April 1st.
Thank you very much. I would also like to thank Kathleen and Lisa. They've been working under some very stressful situations in the last month. Their chief financial officer lost his wife in a horrific car accident. And everybody has been been filling in with other jobs and everything else. So to be able to handle our needs as well as the needs of the office is quite a trick, and we appreciate it very much. On to the Sea Pines POA updates. Let's start with Lori Wellinghoff and communications. Lori.
I had to unmute. Good morning. This will be brief, as hopefully all of our communications will be both brief and full of marvelous content. I'm working with the entire board, but specifically with Jonathan, to provide communication to our members on a variety of levels. One is sort of under the category of did you know? It's our intention to communicate in each of our monthly newsletters and cumulatively on our website things about Sea Pines that you may not know. And I found it interesting. This august body has some members who have lived here full-time for a long time, and yet are still surprised when they learn something about our community. And so if we can stump this band, we hope to be very full of really good information about the wonders of living in Sea Pines and how to access those amenities. Also, we're going to have a section every month and also living full-time on our website where we're going to be asking all of our members to tell us what they're thinking about, anything they think should be on our radar so that we can advocate for them amongst whatever constituents and other organizations that we need to advocate with and through. And so there's going to be a really user-friendly mechanism for sharing what our members think is important. And we'll be aggregating that information. And when there seems to be enough interest in a topic, we'll be reporting on how we're digging into it. And then lastly, we're also going to make it easy and ever present for a person to find out whether they're a member or not. I think some people forget whether they paid their dues. And you're not a member if you haven't paid your annual dues of $50. So we're going to make sure that the website and our newsletter by way of click-through, it allows you to check to see if you're a member, because as a member, that is when your questions, your needs, and your desires are able to be addressed inside of our internet for members. And we don't want to miss what a member is thinking of because they're not a member. We will also try and make everything we write short, sweet, and just full of really indispensable content. John, do you have anything you'd like to add to that since we're working hand in glove?
Yeah, that's a great summary, Lori. I would add that I think the first step in all of this was drafting the communications charter, which I think we will get to. And the goal with the communications committee is to drive traffic to the website and provide information on different amenities. So there's already quite a bit of information on the site, but we're looking to expand that, as Lori said. So that's all I would add.
Paula, is that good?
That's great. Thank you. And I'll accept a motion to approve the Communications Committee Charter as presented in the board package. Thank you, Greg. Second, Lori. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have our official standing committee. Thank you. Financial update. We do our financials quarterly, so the actual financial statements aren't ready for the first quarter yet. But I'm going to call on Grover Todd to share our financial investment strategy so that we can vote on that and approve that as well. Grover?
All right. Thank you, Paula. So our organization has currently north of about $350,000 in what we call a reserve account. That the idea is for that over time to build. It has not been building lately, but our goal is for it to build. We have that invested through Morgan Stanley Wealth Management out of Atlanta is who handles it, and they've been handling it for some time now. So I called them and I said, in your words, give me what you would say our investment practices are, so that I could have this the most accurate that I can. So I'll just read what I wrote up based on our conversation. And I would say that the financial investment practices of Sea Pines Property Owner Association can be described as preservation of principal through short-term, high-quality corporate bonds and cash. Maturity dates are spread over a 5-year period to allow for liquidity. So that's currently what we're doing. And we've stayed with the same organization managing the investment for many years. So no change, but that's a good explanation of what we do.
I'll accept a motion to approve the policy. Greg, thank you. Second, John, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, the nicest part about it is it's very low risk, which is important when you're dealing with reserves. One of the things that Grover mentioned was that we're at 350,000 and are trying to build. For those that are not aware, our reserves used to be about 600,000. That somewhere between 500 and 600,000 is the proper size reserve for an organization that advocates on behalf of its membership. There are costs involved, probably more legal costs than anything else. And when you speak softly and carry a big stick, I don't know if that's really the right way to say it, but I think that larger reserves gives more volume to our voice, I guess would be a way to say it. So next, membership committee, Lee Stevens.
You got a question, Paula?
Before
I'm
you
sorry.
leave the previous one, I did
Thank you,
not
Lee.
vote for that. And the reason was, one, I thought there was going to be discussion, but at the last meeting, it was my understanding we asked Jonathan to work on an investment policy. Where are we with that, and how does that and what Grover just described fit together? I'm a bit confused. We've had no discussion on that policy prior to Grover reading it today, and then we were asked to vote on it, which is why I chose not to vote in favor. I didn't vote against. I'm abstaining.
Okay. I don't recall asking Jonathan to put together a policy since Greg is the treasurer. Did we do that, John?
No, we didn't, but I think we mentioned having me put it on the website.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. If you all would like to vote again at a later meeting, I'm more than happy to do that, but it did pass. It is basically a verification of what we've been doing for a number of years, but I wanted to make sure that it was in writing and published so that everybody knew how their dues were being handled. You know, more of a transparency issue.
Mhm. I just assumed that we would see something in writing and have a chance to have some discussion on a policy before we would vote on it. So I will continue to abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would say, Lee, this is the best summary of what we have been doing and what we're currently doing. I would agree with you if we are changing something or we're coming up with a different policy going forward to increase our return, because this is about as ultra conservative as you can have for a financial policy. And you know, there has been suggestions by our Morgan Stanley. Do you want to change that and become a little more assertive and aggressive with what you do? And you know, like right now, everything's on a downslide this year, so we would have been involved in that if we did. But this is really just a summary of what we do. That's all that Paula was asking, that we just put in writing and so that it's out there among our property owners of exactly what we have been doing since 2011 and what we're continuing to do unless the board agrees to become more aggressive.
Understood.
Okay, moving on. Membership committee, you'll see Lee's name next to membership, covenant reform, and architectural review board. We're talking about a busy guy here. So I'd like to put out there that if anybody else is interested in chairing the membership committee, they're more than welcome to. Just let us know and we'll happily make the change. Lee, do you have an update on membership?
I don't.
Other than what we just gave? Yeah.
Other than the numbers you presented, we have not had a meeting and need to figure out where we're going with the membership committee. So if there's somebody would like to take that on as their project, I'd be happy to step aside from that at this point. Moving on to the Covenant Reform Task Force, that task force chaired by myself and Paul Crunkleton, who just cycled off the board, has been very active, made some recommendations to the board of some areas of the covenants that probably need reform. And those discussions at the board level are ongoing as to timing and setting priority of what reform, what items should be reformed first among the list of, I believe it was 7 or 8 items that we felt needed to at least be discussed among the community and brought forward. Any questions anybody has on that? Seeing none, I'll move on to ARB. The density report that's in the packet and was available is the same density report from February. That report is produced monthly, and since we aren't at the end of March yet, there's not a new density report for March. But I did ask to have included in the packet because I thought you all would be interested in the work that ARB did throughout the year of 2021. And I think you'll see the numbers are significant. The SFR stands for single family residents. So there were 43 new single family residents approved and started in 2021, 133 major renovations, 788 minor alterations. The one that strikes me, and we see now multiples almost every week at ARB, was 45 pools were approved last year. And the proliferation of pools is just been incredible. And in some cases on lots that were probably never designed to have a pool, but if they can meet the setbacks, then they have to be approved. 26 commercial alterations or additions, new lots, and then demos. So demos are where a existing home is torn down and a rebuild of a new single family home, single family residence will come forward at some point. So it was a busy year. And I can tell you from the agendas we've had so far this year, it hasn't lightened up at all. So I think the numbers will be maybe even higher in 2022.
Well, and it's a pretty good indication, I think, of the market, and the market doesn't seem to be lightening up either. Thank you very much. In terms of legal, I did mention that we hired an attorney. We are also co-funding with CSA a lawsuit on the land use management monitoring of 88 Lawton. Greg, would you know? It seems to be sort of status quo right now. Are there any changes or updates on that? Thanks.
Paul, I think the short way to tell the story is we have a petition before the court, and we're in queue to have the judge make a decision, so we can move ahead and we being CSA and take care of the property and do the changes that need to be made. But it's right now it's in the court.
Well, and having spoken to our lawyer Friday, the South Carolina courts and the county courts are just inundated. I mean, they are backed up way. It's hard to describe. So when you say in court, we get it.
It'll happen when it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Any unfinished business anybody would like to bring up? New business, we've mentioned the annual meeting, May 15th, and the new date of record, March 29th. I also got a call from the chairman of IMC, our management team, and he has put I don't want to call it a
Hey,
tax.
Paula.
Yes.
Paula, I could have sworn you said May 15th.
Oh, May 16th. Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. You're welcome.
Anyway, for the regimes that IMC handles, they put a per household tax or increase in charges on a temporary basis until the cost of gasoline drops. And that doesn't work for us with 3,000 members and really no responsibilities per household. So I would like to recommend that we do a one-time payment to IMC of $1,500 for the year. And that is 5% of what we pay them, basically. And that would be our share of money. Where the money is going is it's for the employees and the increased cost that they have in doing business, getting to and from work, and just in general inflation. But really, Ron is tying it to the cost of gasoline.
Do you need a
Does
motion?
anybody- yeah.
You want a little discussion? You need discussion first, I guess, before we have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Any discussion?
Actually, we have a motion first and a second before we have discussion.
Okay, do we have a motion? Nobody's
move.
moving. Okay,
I'll move.
thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, John. Okay, let's have a discussion.
So is there a clause in our contract that, I mean, none, as you indicated, nobody's traveling on our behalf. So other than to go to work every day, which everybody has to deal with. So I guess I'm trying to figure out under what circumstances this increase is permitted per our contract.
Our contract sets forth a certain monthly rate. So it doesn't say, and in case Ron comes back and says, gee, things are looking a little, the cost of living is really looking a little grim for the staff. Kathleen, can you explain what the cost is going to the regimes a little bit better than I did? I don't think I did a very good job.
Yes, so basically it's for those who participate, it's 50 cents per door. And that is only until the gas prices, it's not a permanent, I don't even know the word for it, to be quite honest. It's not permanent. It's until the national gas average reaches $3.50 or below, $3.50 or below.
For regular,
yes. So obviously, like you said, Paula, with over 3,000 members, 50 cents per door would be astronomical for you all to pay on a monthly basis. So I believe that's why Ron, when you spoke with Ron, he just said, if you all wish, then that would be up to the board and what you would choose.
During this, so there's increased cost of doing business. For us, the increased cost of business is what the employees are experiencing. And he gave the staff, everyone on the staff, an increase in their monthly pay at this point. And again, it's temporary until the cost of gas goes down. So for us, because our business model is so different, what I'm asking for is a one-time only payment.
But as I understand it, for a lot of their properties, their property manager travels to that property and oversees the operation of the property. That's not the case for us. This is strictly employees driving to work every day, and everybody's dealing with the increased cost of living. I just don't see how it applies to what IMC provides to us. I mean, I feel for the fact that everybody has increased costs, as do all of us. But personally, my view is that it doesn't apply to us because we don't have any on-site where anybody travels to do anything for us in Sea Pines. So that I just don't understand how that business model applies to our contract. And I'd like to understand how it does before I could vote in favor of such a thing.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Would you explain again what the increase is, the amount of the increase?
The amount, meaning for us?
Yes.
The $1,500 was an arbitrary figure that I pulled out of the air. When I spoke to Ron, he said I said, this doesn't work for us because we don't have any homes, but I feel your pain. And so he said, something to help out would be greatly appreciated. So if you think I hit it too high, that might be one thing, but I feel like we're partners with them. And we have a long-term arrangement with them, and I would like to support their needs.
And what is the amount of money? That's what I didn't catch.
Oh, I had suggested $1,500.
A one-time payment?
Yeah.
I think what
Correct.
Lee's suggesting is that the cost is a sunk cost, that we don't have any incremental or transactional costs, which is true. But I think it's in our interest to support IMC so that they don't lose people because of the cost of driving to work. I don't know how far folks come, but I'm not opposed to a voluntary one-time charge or contribution, I guess it's really the right word. Whether it's $1,000 or $1,500, I don't know what the logic is for the number. It's made up. We're gonna make a contribution, if we all agree. So I guess I'm in favor of helping out. I don't know what the right number is.
Okay.
I can
Yeah,
I can certainly see Lee's point.
Mhm.
I would tend to be in agreement with this on a one-time basis. If it becomes something repetitive where money's being asked for various reasons going forward, then I think I'd get a little more spiky about it. But I can certainly see that today with the gas prices the way they are, that the employees are incurring more cost to get back and forth to work. So, a one-time amount this time is probably good, but we don't naturally want to have these requests for various reasons to happen a lot. I'd say that's where I would get a little more.
I agree.
I'll look a little harder at it. So,
Grover, are you comfortable with the 1,500?
it's a number. It's a number. I think based on what you reported with our membership, we should have good income this year. But it's a number, and a number, it could be anything. So I don't know that I have an opinion on whether that's high or low.
Okay. Other thoughts? Dave?
Paul, I first would like to look at our contract. I view what we're really doing is that the thing that many companies and employers are doing. They're facing an increased cost because of the inflation generally, and which includes gas and everything else, and they're having to pay more to their employees, et cetera, more than would have been anticipated in a short period of time as an increase. So I would come to view what they're doing is requesting an adjustment for inflation. And maybe what you really would want to do is to look at the contract and the contract price and decide on a percentage on that, because that would be a CPI type increase that you could use. And then it would be payable, on a monthly basis, and it would be more constant with what's going on. Everybody's faced with this kind of thing, not just because of the gas.
This was just to answer part of your question. I don't know about the adjustment for inflation in the contract, and we can certainly check it. It was 5%.
What's 5%?
The 1,500, 5% of what we pay. annually.
Annually?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not, the contract, as I recall, and I'd have to go back and look at it. The contract really has like a 6-month look-see period to when they can adjust the price anyway, if I remember, or year, something of that nature. So, I'm not as hung up on the contract as I am as a method of doing this, and and what's the right way of doing it. But either way, somebody has any suggestions or preferences, I don't have a problem with this. I mean, I'm faced with this in a lot of other situations that in midterm, when you don't normally increase salaries, we're being forced to increase salaries just to retain employees and help them cover, because they're going to go and leave and get jobs at other places that pay more. And so all of this is just part of the cycle that's going on. The way to handle it, I'm the number of ways. So I could go with anything, but as far as how to do it. If anybody has any real suggestions different than what Paula does, but I'm not as much of one time as I'd like to add X dollars a month over a period of time. But I can do the one time.
Two things. One, the 6-month look-see was when we were ramping up. So that was our August 1 through January 30 period. And the contract has stayed at the same price as originally estimated.
Actually, that's not exactly correct. The initial term runs through the end of the year. There was a minimum that we had to be with them for 5 months. But the contract is through December 31st of 2022. There was no renewal yet.
Do you have the contract right there? Perhaps you could answer
I
Dave's
do.
question.
I don't see anything that allows for adjustment other than special services such as copies, postage, things like that. And I also find this a little awkward having this discussion with the folks from IMC participating on the call. This should have been something that if we were going to discuss, should have been in an executive session beforehand. And I find this just not appropriate that we should even be having this discussion at this point in time.
And I think it's a good point. I'd like to recommend that we gather back again for an executive session sometime as quickly as we can and discuss this and how we want to do it, and give us a little time to think about it. And
Okay, I tell you what, I struck a nerve here and I apologize. Let's, and when we adjourn the meeting, we'll take some Q&A if there is Q&A, and then let's just go into executive session then. Is that good with you all?
Yep.
Okay. That was the last thing I had. Are there other people that have anything to add under new business? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? So moved, thank you. Second, Dave. Kathleen, have any questions come in for the board?
Yes, ma'am. Lisa's pulling them up right now.
Are they in my email or our email?
Yes, they're in the info at cpinespoa.com.
No, I mean my email.
Oh, not your personal.
Okay.
Let me forward them over to you just a moment. Okay, Paula, you should have 3 emails in your inbox.
Okay, please share with us, those that do not know who IMC is and what services they provide. IMC, for as long as I can remember, CSA had a contract with ASPO to handle all of ASPO's administrative services, which was finding our insurance, our legal counsel, paying our bills, conducting our board meetings, publishing, taking the minutes, publishing the minutes. Let's see. Anything that is required to run a volunteer member-driven organization. We decided not to renew the CSA contract. And well, it was a mutual agreement between ASPO and CSA last year. And we went through a search for a new administrative support. Our business model is quite different, actually, because we are a volunteer member organization, which is very different from most of the regimes and property owners associations on Hilton Head. IMC seemed to get that very quickly and were willing to work with us. And so we had their phase-in period beginning August 1 of last year. Their information is on the website. They're listed under administrative support. Their address is listed as our address. They're privately owned, and they handle several regimes here in Sea Pines as well. Kathleen, do you know the names of the regimes?
Oh, yes, we have several. We have Beachside Tennis, South Beach Club, Glen Eagle Green, Stony Creek A and B, Heritage Villas, Rocket Club Villas, Port Villas, Lagoon Villas 1 and 2. A few more that I can't think off the top of my head, but we have several in Sea Pines.
Thank you. The next question is, who is the new counsel for Sea Pines POA? And that's Finger, Melnick, Brooks, and LaBruce. It's a local firm. Let's see, whatever happened with the lawsuits? Next question, whatever happened with the lawsuits? This is from Becky Ligon. Did Sea Pines POA have to pay anything? If so, how much? If not, did CSA pay? If so, how much? Thank you. I'm not quite sure which lawsuit she's referring to, probably the Jinx lawsuit, which is one that's pretty current, and it's ongoing. So nobody's paid anything because it hasn't been resolved at all. Becky, if you're referring to another lawsuit, please let us know.
All you may volunteer that we do have insurance coverage on the Jinx and what our deductible is.
So noted. But I mean, we haven't paid anything out as a result of any sort of decision made by the courts.
Right.
Okay.
And our exposure is limited to our deductible.
Thank you.
Paula, we just received another email that was just sent over to you as well.
Thank you. From Risa Selig. Is POA involved in providing input to Hilton Head Island short-term rental ordinance, and can you provide any feedback to property owners? Thank you. The short-term rental committee and function is a part of CSA, and I don't want to be passing the buck at all. But I believe CSA has represented themselves as discussing these issues with the town. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct. But we could also, have a discussion with the town and express our views on the proposed ordinance.
Okay.
So if that's what they're asking, then yes, that's something that we can do.
What is the timing of that ordinance if we were to put together something to send to the town?
I don't know. I've seen drafts of it, but I don't think I've seen any timeline.
Okay, all right. Got it. Duly noted, and Risa will work on that. Thank you. Any more questions?
No, ma'am, not in the inbox.
All right, good. Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
We already adjourned, didn't we?
We did adjourn.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to go into, oh, shoot, we have to start the meeting over again to go into executive session, right?
No?
Well, we can just have a discussion among us.
Okay. All right, hold on a minute. Let me just see.
You may want to send, you may
Yeah,
want to.
Kathleen, how do we turn the streaming on?